At the peak of his wealth, John D. Rockefeller had amassed a fortune that redefined the very concept of wealth in America, with some estimates placing it at equivalent to $410 billion in today's money. Indeed, from his dominance in the oil industry to his monumental philanthropic endeavors and the subsequent continued wealth of his heirs to this very day, the Rockefeller family's financial acumen has set the gold standard for old money in the new world. Yet, beyond the public ledger and the well-documented life lies the enigmatic core of his psyche. How did the mind of John D. Rockefeller work? What were the beliefs, strategies, and thought processes that propelled him to such heights? In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we dive into the mystery of Rockefeller's mind, exploring the psychological framework that underpinned his actions and decisions. By examining letters, personal accounts, and business dealings, we will piece together the mental makeup of a man who was as complex as he was wealthy. And along the journey, we will also uncover secrets of the old money mindset, insights that you too can apply to cultivate a mindset akin to Rockefeller's, as we describe. The old money psychology of John D. Rockefeller. The first lesson on our list, investigating the old money psychology of John D. Rockefeller, is his profound capacity for self-control, a trait evident from his youth. And this foundational quality, deeply rooted in the contrasting values of his parents, surely helped mold one of history's most formidable businessmen. You see, Rockefeller's formative years were characterized by a blend of frugality and shrewdness, hallmarks of the disciplined approach to wealth management typical of old money. One key aspect of this development in John's psyche comes from his father, William Avery Rockefeller, known as Devil Bill, a controversial figure who earned a living through dubious means, selling questionable homeopathic remedies while engaging in morally questionable activities. In short, John D. Rockefeller's father was one of the original snake oil salesmen, as we say these days. Now, this lifestyle, replete with numerous affairs and hidden families, was something John diligently sought to distance himself from throughout his own career, with Father William himself admitting that he, quote, tries to cheat his sons every chance he gets because it makes them sharp. Thus, from these experiences with his father, John absorbed critical business lessons, including the necessity of strategic deception and the importance of acute business acumen. These insights were crucial in navigating the often treacherous waters of commerce. In contrast, his mother, Eliza, stood as a beacon of stability and moral integrity. Tasked with managing a household on scant resources, owing to her husband's frequent absences, she instilled in her children the virtues of thrift, diligence, and Christian discipline. Her guiding adage, "Willful waste makes woeful want," became a cornerstone of John's ethical and fiscal philosophy. By the age of 12, John was already practicing these principles, having saved the equivalent to $1,400 in today's money. Yes, by the age of 12, which he then lent at interest, demonstrating early financial insight. This combination of parental influences therefore shaped a businessman who was not only ruthlessly efficient, but also extraordinarily disciplined. John D. Rockefeller's methodical approach to wealth and business, steeped in the lessons of his early life, would define the quintessential ethos of old money. And that ruthless efficiency could only be accomplished in a mind that had a keen attention to detail, which we'll discuss in the next lesson. The next aspect of John D. Rockefeller's old money psychology is his meticulous attention to detail, particularly demonstrated through his ledger writing and accounting practices. And this was not just a routine task for Rockefeller, it was a fundamental philosophy that infused both his personal and professional realms, essential in building his business empire. It all starts in 1853, when Rockefeller's family moved to Strongsville, Ohio, where he attended Cleveland's Central High School. This training grounded him in accounting principles and underscored the critical importance of detailed record-keeping. Subsequently, at just 16 years old, Rockefeller began his career as an assistant bookkeeper for Hewitt and Tuttle, a commission merchant and produce shipping firm. This role offered him precious hands-on experience in financial management and further cultivated his acute focus on precision and detail, traits that would soon become his trademark in financial management. And Rockefeller revered ledger writing as a sacred practice. He meticulously documented every expenditure in a journal, famously referred to as Ledger A. This disciplined approach to recording every transaction, no matter how small, highlighted his belief in the transformative power of accountability and the importance of every financial detail. His ledger was more than a tool for accounting. It was an instrument of self-discipline, a quintessential old money trait, enabling him to track his financial trajectory and instill a deep sense of responsibility towards his finances. This rigorous financial discipline was thus instrumental in Rockefeller's rise to prominence. His scrupulous examination of every invoice, his keen ability to identify inconsistencies, and his unwavering demand for precision distinguished him from his peers and laid the foundation for the financial strategies that would catapult Standard Oil to extraordinary success. However, John D. Rockefeller was not simply a man of numbers and figures. He was also deeply rooted in a sense of gratitude, having grown up relatively poor with a fly-by-night father. Let's discuss further in the next lesson. Additionally, John D. Rockefeller's profound gratitude toward his work was a defining trait in his career ethos, deeply influencing his professional philosophy. This appreciation stemmed from his initial significant job opportunity, a position that came only after enduring months of persistent effort. Rockefeller's entry into the professional realm was characterized by resilience and a strategic vision that underscored his early grasp of the value of diligent work. Specifically, in 1855, a young and determined Rockefeller sought employment by going door to door, offering his bookkeeping services to local businesses. He presented a compelling case to each owner, explaining how his skills could streamline their financial operations and reduce costs. His perseverance finally paid dividends in September of that year, when he was hired as a bookkeeper at the aforementioned produce brokerage firm, Hewitt and Tuttle. Although the job paid only 50 cents a day, it represented a crucial entry point into the business world he was eager to join. And Rockefeller approached his new role with immense enthusiasm. He devoted long hours to mastering the various methods and systems of the office, immersing himself in every detail of the operations. This position not only provided him with a modest income, but also an opportunity to engage deeply with his passion for meticulous financial management. Such was his gratitude for this first significant employment that Rockefeller commemorated September 26th as Job Day annually for the rest of his life. He regarded this date as a critical turning point, the moment upon which all his subsequent success was built. Reflecting on the importance of that day, he would often ponder, "All my future seemed to hinge on that day. I often tremble when I ask myself the question, what if I had not got the job?" Rockefeller's annual celebration of Job Day was more than a personal tradition. It was a reflection of his lifelong appreciation for work and the doors it opened for him. This ritual symbolized his enduring gratitude and served as a reminder of the modest beginnings from which his vast empire emerged. However, this was not a boisterous man who would regale large crowds with his exploits. Instead, as we'll see in the next lesson, he was quite soft-spoken and the living embodiment of the money screams, wealth whispers adage. In our fourth lesson on the old money psychology of John D. Rockefeller, we'd like to point out how his communication strategy was notably characterized by a reserved demeanor that starkly contrasted with the more boisterous styles of his contemporaries in the business world. Indeed, his preference for speaking softly and listening more was not merely a personal characteristic, but a deliberate tactic that significantly influenced his business interactions. You see, despite his considerable influence, Rockefeller seldom dominated conversations or imposed his authority through his speech. Instead, he opted to contribute thoughtfully, often phrasing his ideas as suggestions rather than directives. This approach not only demonstrated his respect for other viewpoints, but also allowed him to maintain a composed and serene presence, essential for handling the intricate dynamics of business negotiations and challenges. But it would be a mistake to interpret Rockefeller's quiet manner as a lack of engagement. Rather, it reflected his profound belief in the value of personal relationships and the importance of forging meaningful connections. His interactions were consistently intentional, aiming to understand and relate to others beyond mere professional exchanges. A notable illustration of his dedication to personal relationships was his meticulous maintenance of a private Rolodex. This collection contained more than just contact information. It included personal notes about the lives of his business associates and acquaintances, highlighting his interest in their personal well-being and illustrating his method of nurturing relationships that extended beyond straightforward business dealings. Therefore, this careful balance between speaking less and learning more was a cornerstone of Rockefeller's legacy, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of the power of words and the significance of authentic connections in both personal and professional spheres. Similarly, John D. Rockefeller's modesty in all areas of his life, particularly around his actual wealth, paid massive dividends, no pun intended, as we'll see in the next lesson. John D. Rockefeller famously maintained a lifestyle characterized by remarkable modesty, distinct from his contemporaries. Unlike Cornelius Vanderbilt and Andrew Carnegie, who were known for their lavish estates like Biltmore and Skibo Castle, Rockefeller chose a path of restraint. His residence on Cleveland's Euclid Avenue, situated on the affluent Millionaires' Row, was elegant yet comparatively modest. It did not extravagantly outshine the homes of his neighbors, but stood as a clear expression of his belief in simplicity and his concerns about the moral risks of excessive luxury. And Rockefeller's approach to attire further underscored his modest ethos. Contrary to the elite's trend of frequently updating wardrobes with the latest fashions, he favored a more practical style. He famously purchased just one suit each year, wearing it until it could no longer be used. Yet, this habit was not merely a personal idiosyncrasy, but a deliberate reflection of his broader philosophical views on the perils of materialism and the potential moral decline it could foster. But his choice of a modest lifestyle extended beyond mere financial prudence. It was deeply intertwined with his ethical beliefs. Rockefeller held that living simply promoted a sharper focus and a stronger moral compass, traits he considered crucial for maintaining personal integrity and achieving long-term success in both business and personal life. By living in an understated home and adopting practical dressing habits, Rockefeller embodied the old money principle that wealth doesn't need to be displayed ostentatiously to be valued. His life provided a compelling alternative to the era's prevalent conspicuous consumption, presenting a potent example of how modesty and substantial financial success can coexist. Furthermore, once he had the wealth, he chose to give much of it away, as we'll cover next. Certainly, John D. Rockefeller is almost as famous for the money he gave away as he is for the money he made, and his philanthropic efforts began early in his career and eventually became as integral to his legacy as his business achievements. Specifically, his approach to charity was deliberate and deeply rooted in his religious beliefs and personal philosophy. You see, from his first paycheck as a clerk at age 16, Rockefeller dedicated a significant portion of his earnings to charitable causes, a practice also meticulously recorded in his personal ledger. By his 20s, his donations exceeded 10% of his income, known as tithing, laying the groundwork for the extensive philanthropic activities that would define his later years. Naturally, Rockefeller's devout Northern Baptist faith profoundly influenced his charitable practices. He engaged with the Bible daily, attended prayer meetings twice a week, and conducted a Bible study with his wife. His philanthropy was guided by biblical teachings, especially the verse from Luke 6:38. "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." This principle not only inspired his generosity, but also directed his life's actions. And his philanthropy reached across the United States as he donated large sums to various churches within the Southern Baptist Convention, numerous black churches, and other Christian denominations. His giving also included personal gestures such as helping to free 2 enslaved individuals and supporting a Roman Catholic orphanage. As his wealth increased, so did his charitable giving, particularly benefiting his church in Cleveland and other community organizations. Later in life, in response to public and governmental scrutiny, Rockefeller increasingly turned his attention to philanthropy in his later years. By his 50s, already the world's wealthiest person, he dedicated his resources and time to distributing his fortune. Among his most significant contributions were the founding of the University of Chicago and Spelman College, aimed at educating African American women. Despite occasional public criticism labeling him as miserly, Rockefeller's dedication to philanthropy remained steadfast, driven by his belief in the transformative power of wealth and a deep commitment to his faith and principles. And thus, by studying the old money psychology of John D. Rockefeller, we can better understand how to apply time-honored principles in our own lives, regardless of the number in our bank accounts. And now, we'd love to see you in the comments. Which of these old money principles have you used in your personal life, or seen a wealthy person use? We can't wait to hear from you. And thanks again for joining us for another episode of Old Money Luxury. Cheers, until next time.